I mean, what we've seen say about the directions the party is headed?
Well, I think it says that the party has always been multifaceted in its philosophy and its makeup. I think, having said that, it also has a certain core to it. Particularly when it comes to economic issues, and Ron Paul speaks very, very strongly and very passionately on that. Certainly does, as does the other candidates. And I think in terms of the broader appeal of the party, that's sort of a transitional period right now for a lot of Republicans to sort of, define who we are for this generation of political activists who are coming on, sort of the Tea Party, Occupy Wall Street generation. How do we take our traditional core values and principles on the economy and debt and spending and translate that? And I think that's what you've seen these candidates navigate through those particular waters. That sometimes dangerously so, where it doesn't necessarily go the way you'd like it to, and you get in a little trouble. But that's all part of any political process where you're going through a transition, and I think the GOP has been doing that since 2006.
It seems like the mainstream Republican establishment is pulling for Romney, is afraid of Romney.
He's their safest bet because with them he's a known quantity. Someone like a Rick Santorum, certainly a Newt Gingrich, while known, is not someone who necessarily plays well with the establishment. So you have individuals like those that are sort of outliers. They're not necessarily in the fold. And so a lot of people get concerned, and Newt represents that. Certainly Michelle Bachmann, as part of the Tea Party leadership in the House, represents that, and that's something that's an unknown. Mitt Romney is known, and he's done it before. He ran in 2008, and he brings a certain stability that the establishment types like. I happen to like the instability of it all, and I think that it's fresh and refreshing to see candidates have to address issues real time and have to look particularly younger voters in the eye and say why they should be president and how their policies are going to impact their future, whether it's their retirement or whatever it happens to be.
Are you pulling anyone in particular? Any predictions for tomorrow?
No predictions. I think there will be some surprises in there. I think that and surprise won't be necessarily the order. It'll be the numbers themselves, the turnout, the number of votes that Ron Paul, for example, gets tomorrow night. I think a lot of people have sort of been underestimating, and this would include some of the Paul people, about their reach and how well organized they are. Ron Paul's got a formidable operation. I've seen it in the last campaign. I've seen it on the ground in this campaign. So I think he's someone who's going to reap some real benefits tomorrow night. And Rick Santorum, I think a lot of that 40% of undecided voters right now are sitting there saying to themselves, maybe this is the guy who is that conservative, principled leader that we want to go up against Obama, and they may break for someone like Rick.
Is there a risk that Romney might become kind of a McCain-like candidate where he has trouble firing up a lot of conservatives, the base?
The answer to that was obviously yes, because when you're at 25% for 12-plus months, the answer is clearly yes. When 75% of your base is not necessarily feeling the love for you, you've got to be concerned about that. And his campaign has to find a way to translate that to a positive where, he gives the kind of assurances to the base, to the rest of the base, that he's their guy and that he is going to be the steady, consistent conservative on things that matter to them going forward. If he cannot sell that, this is going to be a long process for him. Not even if he takes the nomination, because then you're going to have the problem that we saw in 2006 where the base just isn't feeling it, they're not energized, and a lot of the energy that started last year and certainly at the beginning of this campaign cycle dissipates, and we can't afford to have that happen. The risks are too great and the stakes are too high.
What kind of role are you playing these days within the Republican base? Is anybody coming to you for advice, support?
I talked to some candidates who are running for state offices and local offices, and sort of advise them, on things that, specific things that they have in mind. I kind of like what I'm doing now is sort of looking at it from 10,000 feet, seeing where the potholes are, trying to warn people there's a pothole, and they still step in it. But that's good. I enjoy that part of it, and really kind of appreciating the new dynamics out there, particularly with the advent of Tea Party and Occupy Wall Street activism. Regardless of where you are and how you feel about that, you've got to recognize that there's something going on within the American people, within their minds and their hearts, that's compelling them to go out and to be heard and to make a point, and to hold elected officials accountable. And I think that's a good thing.
A lot of that seems to be kind of an anti-corporate message and against the role that corporations, how much money they're funneling to candidates. I've heard a lot of that from Ron Paul candidates too, not just liberals.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take on where do you stand in Citizens United and the role of corporate money in these elections?
I find money to be property. So in my view, I can do with my property whatever I want. I think, however, having said that, there should be a mechanism for full, immediate disclosure, and stop hiding behind the corporate veil and pierce the veil wide enough, long enough, and maybe even deep enough for the voters to see who are the folks who are writing million-dollar checks. I mean, it's that simple. And
should those checks be unlimited, the amount?
I don't care if they're unlimited.
Yeah.
I just want to know who's writing them.
Right.
I mean, so if I don't want to be associated with your check, guess what? I'm not taking your check. If I don't mind being associated with your check and I want your money, I'll take it. And if there's heat that comes from that, then I'm prepared to deal with that. But the point is, as a citizen, you have full disclosure of that information, and you can value and judge for yourself whether or not that's an association you think appropriate in politics or in this particular race. And we have those types of mechanisms in places like Virginia, and we don't have the kind of issues that you see stirring up elsewhere around the country with the kind of system we have in place at the federal level. States like Virginia that you write a check within 24 hours. It's everywhere. It's broadcast. It's on the news. It's posted, and people know. And I've known candidates who've said to certain folks, "No, that's all right. I don't need the contribution," because they didn't necessarily want to be associated with that industry or that particular individual. So there is a value to knowing.
Is there a political risk for the Republican Party being tied to corporate America, the Koch brothers?
Wrong with corporate America. So we need to stop demagoguing corporate America. I mean, that's a great talking point for a lot of my friends on the left, and I'd like to see more of my friends on the right stand up and make it very clear that Main Street and Wall Street are interchangeably they're connected, and so we cannot denigrate one and think at the same time we're lifting up another. So that's just not how it works. That's not how our system works unless you want to deconstruct capitalism, which I think a whole lot of people have a problem with. The reality of it is corporate America is not bad for America. It doesn't mean that we can't check it. It doesn't mean that we can't reform it where it needs reforms. And it doesn't mean we can't oversight it. What it does mean is that there's a value to a free market system that we have had in place since our founding. It has at its core the opportunity to create wealth for a significant number of Americans, and I don't think people want that to change. What they do want to change is certain corporate behaviors, and that to me is a very different subject.
You're an MSNBC analyst right now.
Yep.
What else is on your plate? What are you excited about?
I get up every day. I got a son who's about to graduate college in a year. He wants to be a writer, and I'm excited for him. At the same time, I'm worried about his future. So we try to do what we can to make it better for him. But I love the fact that things are great and life is. I've been blessed. Looking forward to a great year. And after having seen Mission Impossible this past weekend, I am stoked. If you haven't seen it, man, that thing is like a roller coaster. Awesome.